Welcome everybody on our Storware next webinar. Just to briefly introduction myself, my name is Paweł Mączka, and I'm privileged today to have with you 30 minutes of showing what we have lately done with the Storware backup and recovery. And our major subject is the critical, let's put on our slide here, critical areas of data protection in the modern company. Do you know them all? We discuss internally a lot about how to gather the attention and how to focus on these key areas, because what we've seen lately, especially in the last years, this is a drastic movement from the legacy platforms, not only in a backup world, but also in our data center. So we'll briefly go and discuss what actually the changes lately happened. And we know that there are some standards that they haven't changed for a while, such as virtualization. But the third point, it's actually all start with the virtualization, and I'm talking about the last 20 years. And what is more important for us as a backup vendor, what will be the future? And I think it's also relevant for you to understand how to gather today modern data architecture and data center, and how to fill the gaps from the data protection perspective. I can see that you put in on chat, so hello. Guys, just let me know if you hear me well. Do you see me in a good quality? So let's move on to the agenda. Let's come back here. So I said we'll start with why. Actually, the last 20 years was from us such an important journey, but we are much more focusing on what's the future and how we actually thinking about the deployment of the existing data protection platforms and what we should consider in the near future, because we have a cloud, we have a containers, we have lots of different things that's going on. So definitely looking for the right approach. It will be benefits your existing role if you are working, of course, in the IT industry. We'll talk about the approaches and, of course, how the Storware aligned to this future, or actually how the Storware is aligned to the existing today architecture, but also what is our vision to make a next steps. I always, when I started the conversation with my partners and customers, I would like to come back a little bit into the past. It's actually journey from the last 50 years. When everything was centralized, we started with the mainframe, and then we started to move the physical server, then the virtualization that they happened in early 2000. Then right now, of course, there's a huge movement into the cloud containers. And this is not only aligned to the infrastructure part, as you see on the top, but from the bottom, there is also changing the way how we building and not only design the infrastructure and data center, but also how we developed and building the application and services. So you're going from the monolith, the huge mainframes, into the microservices. I'm not a fan to saying that microservices and the containers are the solution for everything. I even believe that sometimes it even more complicated, the existing infrastructure. But of course, this is my personal opinion. So not this technology, even such as cloud, it's not for everybody. But to usage, and the mix and finding the best hybrid way to use the cloud, containers, virtualization, and even legacy platforms such as typical physical system, because we still see that some application cannot be rewrite to work in a microservices. So still we have a monoliths that they should be handled and properly protected. But let's focus in what's new and where we should find our way, and what's the answer from the Storware side. This is here. You can see that I said a few times already. This is what we used to see in the last 10 years plus, even right now, close to 20 years. We all live in the physical layer, and we take in the huge advantage from the virtualization layer. But the application stack, it's actually didn't change. This is here when the containers are going and saying, okay, it's not only about the OS level virtualization, but maybe we should go a little bit further and build the containers on top on the OS. So you can right now see the projects such as KubeVirt, which we also talk on our other sessions, like on Open Virtualization Pro Experts, when we discussed that right now the customers and the partners are looking even go much more further, and they're trying to mix both types of the solutions into the one single box. And this is interesting what also Gartner is saying from the February this year. They just released the market guide for the server virtualization, so it's a quite brand new and fresh material from the Gartner, and this is really important. I'm not saying it will happen, but let's a little bit deep dive the sentence. By 2026, container VM converged will be available on more than 75 of on-premise virtualization hosts, up to less than 5% in 2021. So when I said containers, VMs, this is not today, the discussion which technology should be was the future of the technology future. Is it container or VMs? The future is to combine both into the one platform. So we call it containers VM converge. This is also what the Gartner is saying, and we've seen a lots of scenarios like KubeVirt open from the open source, like OpenShift virtualization from the Red Hat shop, like VMware, of course, vSphere with the VMware Tanzu and the Pivotal. There's lots of right now vendors who are saying, okay, there is no sense right now to have a battle. Which technology is more important? Let's find a way how to mix both technology and provide the converged infrastructure, not hyper-converged like we used to see on the Nutanix or the other vendors, but on the virtualization and container stack. So we will definitely, the future is bright, and we'll see that some vendors will try to put the containers on the virtualization, and some of the vendors, such as Red Hat, they already said that no, we would like to put the VM on the container itself, not in opposite, like the other vendors. So definitely, we're looking forward what was going on next year's. Our interest is to whatever path, whatever producer, vendor you will choose, your partner, your customer, or anybody from the companies that you're working with, we should apply and have the answers from the data protection perspective. And what we've seen is that it's not only about the virtualization, but we've seen that more than 80% of the workloads right now are related to the virtualization stack. So to saying about be fully focused, what's ahead of us, we need to understand there are many islands that we should cover by our platform, starting from the physical infrastructure, as you see on the bottom, VMs, but also laptops. Do not underestimate the need of protecting the endpoints. With what we've seen in the last years, everybody said, okay, there is no sense because everything is centralized, everything is going to the cloud. But ransomware and the other malwares that are still all the time attacking, what the COVID did with our job and the way how we do work, again, we've seen that there is a significant need to protect the data on the laptops, because still percentage of the business data stays on this kind of the endpoints. Storages, we're using more and more object storages, but still we have arrays, physical arrays, that we should supposed to protect not only from the OS or the application level. Apps, cloud, and containers. Containers, also we've seen many reports, and we read lately Gartner saying that the containers itself will not rule the whole world. They're going from the right, I don't remember the exact numbers, but they are roughly about 5-7%, and they will grow in next 2 years to 15%. So this converged is definitely the game changer, and we need to be here ready to have a proper proposition as a for example Storware here from the data protection perspective. When we see we also, what we've seen is many times vendors, even our competition, saying, okay, let's forget about the legacy, let's talk about the only future. So they distinguish the platforms between what is the modern and what is the legacy. I just want, maybe I will put and be a little bit controversial. My opinion is that there is no, let's say, the best scenario, because still there are some customers who need to use the legacy platforms. But what we've seen in the last years, that every legacy platform, and from my perspective, legacy platform is the data protection platform, which was designed and started to develop in early 90s. So we have a bunch of the software right now on the market who still are in the top five Gartner, but they have some, technological depth that they need to go through and solve it, especially for the new and modern workloads. What I also see in this slide is the quite clunky and difficult to use and extensive maintenance cost. And to be honest, if you're using the platform, whatever vendor you will choose today, and so there will be 3, 5, 7 years, and you'll see that the maintenance is actually not doubled, but even tripled the cost of the maintenance from the first year. And this is in most cases the policy from the biggest vendors, that if you're using the platform for longer time, you need to pay year-to-year growth from the maintenance perspective. We from the beginning decided that we don't want to go in this direction. We have a flat maintenance for every customer who started, but it's not yet about us. Let's consider what we've seen, what all other differences we've seen. Lack of innovation and security. Not in every case, but I said I will be a little bit controversial. What I see when we working with also the biggest vendors, when we cooperating, see is, okay, they trying their best, but they are not so flexible and agile as they could be or they used to be in the past. So this the innovation security, it sometimes goes into the new products, and we've seen that many of the top 5, even top 10 vendors decided to go to the third-party integration, or they just live in this legacy platform as they are right now, and they put every year less and less investment. I'm not saying it's good or bad, but if you're looking for keep the existing challenges, you may notice that you don't have the speed that you used to see in the years of using this platform. And there are many representation, many vendors who are doing this way. Modern, in opposite, from my perspective, it's of course most of the vendors that are much more younger. We are developing our platform since 2014, so we right now are 8 years old company, and based on the youth, we don't have many of the technological depth that already was taken if you build in this the solutions like early 90s. So definitely most of the vendors who are started to build in like 10 years less definitely has more agility or agile to be much more faster. And in most cases, we using the open API to be much more easy to integrate with the third party. And also there is a we are closest to the cloud workloads and any other implementation on-prem, hybrid, on a cloud than the typical legacy platforms. Many customers, many of you asking, okay, what's your power and store? What's your proposal in the end? Yes, when so everybody can concur and saying what the others has good or bad, but what's the actual differences between Storware and the other vendor data protection or backup and recovery vendors on the market? You can find some bases like one system, one license. This is what we've done right now by unified our 3 products into one. So what we notice is that, okay, it is not a time right now to propose the 3 UI. So single pane in glass, this is one of the crucial thing. And last 2 years, we invested our time to get rid of the vProtect, the Coda for Cloud, and the Coda for Endpoint, and provide new simplified Storware and backup platform 5.0 right now, which is available from the February this year. So single pane in glass is actually, okay, we have many resources and we would like to protect it from the one place with the agnostic and the simple workflow, data flow for most of the sources. What is more important, we still tighten up, and we have a really close relationship with the most vendors, which are changing right now the perception on how the market is going. And let's take the Red Hat with the OpenShift, with the Red Hat virtualization, with right now OpenShift virtualization. We have a really, let's take a Nutanix, for example, which they doing huge innovations since they deployed and present the hyper-converged infrastructure in right now more than 10 years. How they changing the market, provided, for example, Acropolis hypervisors. So we stick and keep with this kind of the vendors. There's of course VMware, Oracle, and many more. We have right now technology partners, more than 10 right now, and we would like to help them to provide best-in-class enterprise solution to protect their infrastructures. Lately, for example, our decision is to also go into the scale computing HC3, which also they provide based on the KVM, the hyper-converged, and also the edge virtualization, and also Huawei Compute. And there's only right now 2 vendors worldwide. You can guess easily who is the next one who's supporting this kind of variety of the different virtualization workloads. Because what we notice is that we cannot provide the solution, especially for the VM world, not VMware world, but VM world, that sticks with one vendor. We've seen that there are more and more customers are multi-hypervisors, multi-engine, and they would like to start a new project not only on the mainstream products like VMware on a Hyper-V. And more we've seen that the KVM-based engine are going to play, even if they are still, from the percentage perspective, niche players. We've seen that they're growing every year, and we would like to keep this independence of the data protection. We cannot say never that none of the vendors will give you the full vendor, no vendor locking. But if you will, meet us closer, you will see that we trying, and our decision even to integrate with the IBM ecosystem, Veritas, Micro Focus, or the Dell, giving you the possibility that you can build the island today based on the Storware, but also you can easily extend the existing capabilities for your existing legacy platforms. And this is we are the only vendor who took this path, because we do believe that you should have, in the end, a choice to stick with your major legacy platform, or to build the island, integrate this island with the existing legacy, or just to install the Storware as a separate, fully independent component. And I, always when we're thinking about the technology is important, but also we need to take into the consideration what are the top 5 competitive advantage when we speak and we're trying to present our solution to the market, and keep it simple. I know it's not always, we can always do better, especially when I'm doing a POC or the training, but Agentless and HTML5 intuitive UI and easily deployment, like single line to do in the Ansible playbooks to install all-in-one in a minute. This is the way how we would like to build our future, to give you the simplified solution, which gives you the intuitive HTML5 with the Agentless. In most cases, we don't want to install the agent, because agent in the end will complex your infrastructure. So what we will do is trying to as many as possible ways to do not use the agent at all. What is also this, keep it faster. Again, I will keep with this Agentless, but backup and DR automation. We have a scale up and scale out architecture. You can install one. We have a server and a node. You can install one node, but you can install tens of even hundreds of nodes, depends on your size of the organization. So we can easily scale up, speed up, provide you also the automation for the disaster recovery capabilities. We call it recovery plans. We know that your organization will grow up, especially from the data perspective. So the scale out, what I already mentioned, will definitely, you will come back to us and say, okay, we need to have some easy way to redeploy onto scale, because we have more and more data, and nobody will stop the flood of the new data that we are generating each year. And RESTful API, this is I cannot right now imagine that we are not integrating with the RHV, with the OpenStack Horizon, with our managed service provider portals, providing the easy way to develop and provide the RESTful API. And of course, everybody is talking about the technology, but in the end, you will considering also to have a solution that will not put you in a dead valley from the maintenance on the for the product licensing or purchasing process. So we're trying to give you a tailored solution that goes with the different models, like per VM, host, terabytes, users, devices. So you can pick the best scenario In most cases, our customer is taking the host, but sometimes you can say, okay, we have a host, we have some Microsoft 365 users. Let's try to mix it. Let's start the conversation. And our strength is not only flexibility and the agility from the technology perspective, but also our sales team, and in the end, our support. So from the POC, we try to be as close as possible to our customers, partners, and from the support, this is also the investment that we do in every day, that we don't want to, forget about you in any issues will occur. And we have lots of success stories already when the customer is saying, we do love the way how the Storware cooperate with us, not only from the pre-sales perspective, but post-sales, and how they keep the platform in a good shape. Like in every vendor, sometimes software, sometimes you will find some bugs and issues, and the key point is to how to handle it from the support perspective. Okay, just a few slides because before I will go to the live demo. This is the latest support. This is the latest compatibility matrix. On the left, you can see the different sources. We put it and divide it into the virtual machines, storage, endpoints, containers, cloud, and application. What is the beauty today is that we put Microsoft 365 endpoints, new hypervisors, everything into the one place. Like I said, not 3 products as we had before, but right now all in one. Cold Storware backup and recovery, and still we have 3 type of the backup targets that we can send our data from the file system through the object storage to the enterprise backup providers: IBM, Dell, Micro Focus, and Veritas, the 4 players which are available and visible as a players in a Gartner. We working with the others. So hopefully in the next months of the year, we will announce a new cooperation. Like I said, 3 into the one. And the major features that you can find in our platform, I will not right now go through all of them, just for your eyes. But Agentless giving us the option that we need to use the native API. It's not only about backup; we can also do the snapshot management. Lately, we also introduced not only the synthetic backup, but also the immutable storage. This is really important, especially from the ransomware attacks, where we giving the assurance that your backup data cannot be overwritten by any of the external malware. But this is also only available from the synthetic or the data domain, by using the retention log or the Dell data domain. Okay, so it's a time, actually 30 minutes of my talks. I will right now really fast jump into the live demo, if you don't mind. If you have any questions, you can easily put information on the chat. So I will right now hide and share my screen. Give me a sec. Right, so you should see my screen. You haven't seen a new login screen. Let's log in. I prefer to provide a proper password, unless it will be quite hard to log in to the store. All right, so after login, like always, we have a dashboard. So, but the major differences right now is that we have different specialization and the different islands. VE means virtual environments, containers, and the virtual machines. Storages like Ceph RBD. Cloud, especially for the right now Microsoft 365, we're planning to add other service providers in the future, sites, teams, etc. Applications and the endpoints, which are combined into the one product. Let's just see from the V's. We have some 12 machines protected, and like always, you can choose an on-demand right now protecting one of those. This is let's grab one of the typical machines. With the visualization, you can choose first the configuration, so you can easily pivot the view. You can start with to see the history, what's going on. You can see here that you can enable or exclude some disk for this specific machine. You can manage the schedules and goes into the settings if you would like to, for example, invoke some or ingest some data like script before or after the snapshot is doing from the virtualization for the VM. And you have some stats. The admins love, everybody loves it. If you working in a data protection, you would like to know not only the sizes, but you would like to know how much time you need to spend to protect the typical machine, or what is the actual transfer rate that you have in last days, or for the better analysis. Everybody wants to know where are, of course, the bottlenecks. So this kind of view is definitely worth to see. Same things for the restoration. Of course, if the machine is restored, events calendar, when you can see the information for the specific date, or the range of the date, where you can see also divided here, and the infrastructure where you add actually in the virtual environments, adding the hypervisors, managers, like starting from the Amazon through the Huawei, through the Scale, Kubernetes, OpenStack, to VMware. If we don't have the hypervisors managers, we need to add directly the hypervisors such as Citrix, ASXi, Zen, or the Hyper-V. After we add the infrastructure, we always saying, okay, we need to figure it out what's going on this particular environment. So we always invoke the synchronization inventory, which giving us the information what actually is on this specific virtual environment. So when I just start the task, just click the task console, and this is the global view for all of the tasks that we are running as an admin. These tasks are running in the meantime. Let's close it, and I put the backup. Okay, backup is actually right now working. So Mr. Machine called Perushin test 07 right now is doing the incremental exporting the data to the specific node, in this case the node 1, to the backup destination, to the local file system. So this is how the VMs looks like. Always when you can see we changed a little bit the navigation. We have we put the different segments starting from the V's. Then you have a storage, cloud, application, endpoints, and full reporting for all those on the sources that we are protecting, with the role-based account control. So the airbag that gives you the beauty of choosing what type of the user should see is based on the privilege context. Shall we see everything, or shall we see just a bunch of the information from our UI? So let's go to the cloud, because as I said, right now our strength is not only provide the containers and virtualization as we used to do it in vProtect, But also let's see from the cloud how to work with the Office 365. Two ways. One is to manage and add the tenant manually from the Microsoft 365. Second one, definitely easier, is to go through the setup assistant, where we need to go authorize through the specific code, log in as an admin, go through the different steps to add our Microsoft 365 into the Storware backup and recovery. After we added same philosophy, we have different tenants. We need to synchronize the inventory from these tenants. And later on in the instances view, you will see the users sites or the team channels that you can easily address. Let me find some user. My colleague Pavel, same name as me, want to be Italian, so Pavello Piscino. You can see that is not is backup outdated. Maybe it wasn't properly backup for the last days. If we go in, we can of course backing up this user according to the policy, or manually select what type of the Microsoft 365 services we would like to protect. We can start the job, but we can also go inside user, and you can see quite the same view as you've seen on the virtual environments, but also in the end you can see backup history and the data, protected data. So here, this is the place how we would like to grab and find some emails. For example, Pavel Piskor sent some email to have some test message IBM. We can see that this message was from the September 7th of September 2021, and from here we can download it or restore to the same user, or maybe to the different user, to the same on different path, etc. So many cases of the restoration. I can straight away download the data, or I can says, okay, let's come back to the Pavel in the end. Not only mailbox, but other OneDrive, chats, calendar, contacts. So many features. If we many features included. If we have more versions, of course, we can visible and choose the exactly version that we are interested in. Backup SLAs, a little bit different than in the virtual environments. Let's take the PPDemo policy. Here you can use you need to choose what type of the features you would like to protect, and you can manually choose the users or sites, teams, and in the rule you make a decision, okay, for where I should store this data and for how long I should kept this data for the future purposes. So this is the cloud. So our old Coda cloud, which is fully integrated into the let's say with a new user experience with a one platform called Storware backup and recovery. Remember what I said about, okay, we have a virtual environments like containers, virtual machines. We have the cloud. Also, we have the applications. So keep in mind that we have already built some templates ready to use to be fully invoked, so we can ingest to the specific virtual machine or physical machine, and we can use these templates like MariaDB, Oracle template, Postgres to make a script-based backup for the specific database and take this database into our platform without using the agent in the end. The great example is our internal DB, where we can invoke the backup, and we can, for example, add your new production DB, and you can choose what type of the templates we should use. We call it execution configuration. Let's say it's a Oracle database. We providing the SSH access and the RS credential based on SSH on WinRM. So applications, storage is implied the typical file system. If we go into the infrastructure, so we can add the file system, but also we supporting, like I said, Ceph, Nutanix files on Nutanix group. Again, if you will add synchronize inventory, you will see the volume list here. So we will treat it the same way, in the same way how we are treated the virtual environments, cloud users, or the endpoints. All endpoints are a little bit different because we using the different philosophy behind the scenes. It's a continuous data protection. If you are more interested to have a deep dive here, please find our blogs or information about old code for endpoints. So this is a continuous data protection for the Windows and Mac OS machines. So here you can find a little bit different approach because the CDP demands from us a different way of usage. But in the end, we are adding the users, we synchronize with the Active Directory. Or this user has some machines. We protect these machines based on the policies, and we have the option to easily grab the data and restore this machine if it's needed. It's much more user-centric focus when we're doing the self-restore recovery. So I will not put more attention on today session, but imagine that if you are a user and you right click on your laptop, you can easily find the specific version of the protected data. So it's really simplified way how to do not invoke the ID department in case of problems of recovery data. We called shadow IT integration. We called self-restore when users are capable to do it by their own because it's so simple for the platform. Okay, so I just wanted to, we have only 45 minutes, and I try to as briefly as possible to speak about the possibilities. Let me just came back to the presentation and show some useful information that you could use after the webinar. One of those is you need to keep in mind that the Storware Backup and Recover is available for free. If you are not going beyond 25 users of Office users or 10 virtual machines or the Kubernetes OpenShift deployments. So if you go into our website, you can easily select the plan. You can download the free version or take the trial or free trial. Has its all available capabilities. Free is limited because it doesn't have a support and doesn't have enterprise backup providers. But definitely it's worth to dare to test. Do not hesitate to play with it. Or if you just Google Storware documentation, maybe you would like to get more knowledge about our platform, our software, Storware Backup and Recovery. Just go, or you can find here a link. It's hosted on a Gitbook, but if you Google Storware documentation, it will redirect you to the Gitbook site. And definitely, we would love to see you on following one of our social media on a YouTube channel, because we're trying to do our best to make updates. Not only the marketing ones like other vendors used to do, but we're trying to make lots of education stuff, workshops, certification programs, etc. So if you will start to follow us, it will be easier to grab what lately we've done and we're doing at least 3 releases yearly. So our roadmap is quite aggressive. Okay, this is a time for you. If you have any more questions right now, you can still put on a chat. Looking forward to help you. If not on a webinar, you can find myself also on a LinkedIn or other social media, but definitely, again, worth to see and follow one of our backup monster channels. To summarize, I would like to thank you for your time. I know it's not easy right now to wrap up and find 45 minutes. I just see that I extend plus 2 minutes. So thank you for that. I wanted to explore and explain you how Storware right now approach the modern infrastructure challenges, such as combining the different sources into the one single pane of glass management by Storware backup and recovery. You know how to play with it. So we are encourage you to test, have some questions, and looking forward to see you on one of our next webinars. Stay tuned. Have a great day, and thank you again that you've been with us right now on a live or watching us on our YouTube channel. So again, take care, stay safe, bye bye.